Welcome to the Low Budget Late Night Show. I'm your host, Xach. Again this week, I will be co-hostless. It's going to be me and you. So, this week, I was riding the bus and I was thinking, as people got on and off, there's this incredible tour of smells and scents that you are taken on when you ride the bus. From, perfume of people, cologne, maybe gas, is a smell that sometimes comes on. Sometimes I'll be coming home from work and someone will have fast food and it'll smell like burgers on the bus. Shit. Sometimes people smell like shit. They might have shit themselves. Weed. Sometimes people smoke weed on the bus. It's just very interesting sensorily, like to go through an hour-long tour of a bunch of different smells is interesting and sometimes overwhelming. So that was the stand-up monologue segment of the show. And now we are going to get into Musings by Richard. So, on Musings by Richard, I just read out of my notebook here some stuff that Richard has thought of and asked me to read on the show. I'll just get into it then. It has always bothered me deeply that we bake cookies and cook bacon. Okay. Why did kiwis evolve to look like dogs' balls? It's a good question, I guess. They do. If we could have a picture of a kiwi, maybe. Don't show a picture of dogs' balls, please. All right. Money is a system with which to separate our work efforts from that which truly sustains our lives. It's not as funny as the other ones. Why do high schoolers and strippers wear the same perfume? Richard's a very deep one, and wow. Okay, this is a bit of a long one. I don't know if this would be considered amusing, or, well, not amusing, but a musing, like the Musings by Richard. I don't know if it's a musing, not if it's amusing. I don't know if it'll be amusing. I haven't read it yet. Anyways, how many species will be the subject of articles that prove their emotional intelligence before we understand that it is probably an innate trait of being an animal here that we share? We view other species as animals, incapable of practical or emotional intelligence. That is, of course, unless they pass tests we have designed with no small amount of bias towards what those forms of intelligence most look like. Must look like, i.e., human-like. Yet, we have exhibited through these tests that animals have practical and emotional intelligence, and shown as well that we hold some of the greatest capacity for callousness and cruelty on Earth. Wow, what a bummer. I'm gonna have to talk to Richard about that, I think. So that, yeah, that was Musings by Richard. Thank you, Richard, for your contribution to the show. And now we are going to get into how many pull-ups can I do? So I believe that the pull-up bar will be in frame for both of the cameras. And we're just going to see here. I did a bit of running this week, so... it was I was looking for my roommate's dog, but I did a bit of running, so we'll see if that has any effect on the results here. Alrighty. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7. All right. You know what? I am feeling a pain in my left arm now, but I pushed myself because the reported numbers of 10 pull-ups, they were for environmental reasons, but I want to point out that the first time I did 5, second time I did 6, this time, even though I actually feel a knot forming in my muscle, I did it. I did 7, so that's progress, baby. All right. So, progression made. Yay. All right, so let's get into this new segment here called What Would It Be Called if it wasn't called what it is called now? And it looks like this week we are going to be looking at blobfish. So there's a picture of a blobfish. We're going to have that somewhere near my head, I hope. Maybe over here. So what would it be called? I'm gonna be looking at it on my screens here. It's like, so I think the point of this segment is really to put myself in the shoes of an explorer. I am an underwater explorer. I'm exploring depths of the sea that no one has ever been to before. No one knows of this mysterious fish, this mysterious gelatinous, snot-nosed, very upset-looking fish. If it can even be called a fish. I don't know if fish is the first thing that comes to my mind when I look at this. When I look at this, I really... Okay, so we're going to say I'm an explorer, I'm looking underwater for all this stuff, and this looks like a man to me. This looks like a human head which has been filled with seawater and left to rot for presumably some sins committed. So I'm gonna just off the bat assume that this is a damned soul that we're dealing with. So this is not just a fish. It's not even a person anymore. So this damned soul left to plop about the bottom of the ocean. I really think so what would I call a damned soul I found at the bottom of the ocean? I'm trying to think of something that incorporates the word wretched. It looks wretched. Um, I'm just gonna stick with sort of the general thing that I landed on, which was wretched. So I think I would go back. I'm a deep sea explorer. Uh, Presumably sometime in it past the Middle Ages, but not in the modern age. And I find this thing, and I go back, and I write a report, and I say, I found the damaged souls of man encapsulated in what can only be described as the wretched ones of the bottom of the sea. So I'd say that's probably what it would be called if it wasn't called what it is called right now. The wretched one of the bottom of the sea. All right, what a fun segment. So, now that brings us into the weather. Welcome to the weather. There wasn't much happening, really, this week. It was pretty much the same as the last time I talked about it. So... And that brings us to our song of the week. Now this week, our song of the week is the first time ever a low budget late night show history that we have had the same song, not only from the same artist, but also from the same album. So if that says anything to the merit of this album, we're going to be checking out Seven Lakes by Christian Lee Hudson. There was some confusion last time as to whether or not it was Christopher Lee Hudson, which led to my co-host Justin listening to, but I was pretty sure, I didn't listen to it. I think it was some religious audiobook that he found on Spotify under Christopher Lee, or Christopher Lee Hudson. Anyways, this is Christian Lee Hudson, and the song is Seven Lakes. So I've got my Bluetooth headphones here. Get those in, and got it pulled up. I'll give you a second there at home. Take a drink. All right. If we're all ready for the countdown, then 3, 2, 1, go. All right. That was Seven Lakes by Christian Lee Hudson. Now, that brings us to audience submissions. This was a slower week for audience submissions. which is okay. We can't expect it to keep up to the numbers we've been seeing, though I do appreciate the participation, and I want to just say the comments are open. If you would like to leave an audience submission, you are welcome to. If you have my contact information by any sort of way, or if, just don't share it, but please do share with me your submission. So this week, we just got one here. So this person says, I have nothing to contribute for audience participation other than the fact that the box jellyfish is the only kind of jellyfish that has actual eyes. So, ellipses. Do with that information what you will. What I will do with that information is tell you that I did not know that there was more than one kind of jellyfish. I just... Sorry, out in my garage, Anyways, I just figured that there was one jellyfish, and that's why we called it the jellyfish. I did not know that there was such a thing as a box jellyfish, or that it was the only one with eyes. I can only imagine that looks like a mind flayer, like from Dungeons and Dragons. If we could get a picture of a box jellyfish and a mind flayer to see how right I am. I'm just going to assume I'm pretty right about that, because that's the only thing that can really come to my mind in my imagination. That's strange. Thank you for sharing that marine life factoid. It's a fun fact. Anyways, so, yeah, I think that brings us to the end of our show. Thanks for joining me. What a fun week we had. Unexpected, I think. As always, I have been your host, Xach. And no one joined me today. Thank you for joining me. Yeah. It has been the 5th episode of the Low Budget Late Night Show. That's all. Until next time.